Haval H7 is coming to Australia very soon, my friends, and it is a second generation of Haval Dargo. We never had Haval Dargo here, unfortunately, but Haval H7 kinda promises to be a lot more modern, a lot more cool looking, plus hybrid technology. Welcome back to the channel, by the way. I'm Dimitri. In case you're new here, you're new here, you're most welcome to stay in our little casual car review club. I'm about to translate another wonderful video where another really respectable, nice Russian automotive review channel called autosport.ru will tell us a lot more about Haval H7 that they already have. Hands-on experience, all that kind of stuff. We're going to follow their reviewer Alex, who's going to tell us about how this car drives, what it's made of, how it's related to Haval Dargo, all of that kind of stuff. If you enjoy these kind of videos, the main way for you to tell me that you enjoy them and appreciate this effort of translation, promotion of this content that otherwise is not particularly available to you if you're not speaking Russian, give me a quick like and talk to me in the comments down below. I love reading your comments. I try to respond to everyone who is not a troll, but of course it's a little bit hard with other increase of activity that is happening across my channels and other things that I am engaged in. This video is sponsored by our old friends Autocast, creators of a whole lineup of products that are enabling wireless connectivity to your infotainment systems in your car, as long as those infotainment systems have wired Android Auto or wired Apple CarPlay respectively. Connect your phone via Bluetooth and then, without connecting any wires, have access to Google Maps, podcasts, phone calls, whatever else, you name it. And Autocast, by the way, of course, sponsors the video by providing the devices, but they are not paying me to tell you only the good news. So I assure you, I do believe in the brand, and I think you should take a look at the description for a variety of discount codes. Thank you, Autocast, for sponsoring this video.
So what is Haval H7 in a nutshell? It is a new hybrid midsize SUV that looks like a facelifted Haval Dargo and is positioned in direct competition to Jetour T2 in those markets and countries where both brands are present. While Jetour is not available in Australia, Haval H7 is now officially being previewed as coming soon on the official Great Wall Motor Australia website, which is fantastic to see. Haval H7 became available in China in the beginning of 2023 under a different name and is actually considered to be a second generation to Haval Dargo, which we have not had ever. H7 wheelbase is 7 centimeters longer than that of Haval Dargo, is almost identical to the brand new Haval F7 that we sadly also don't have in Australia, but otherwise technically all three of these related vehicles are built on the same Great Wall Motor proprietary platform. Chassis across these models are almost identical. Clearance is about 19 centimeters, fully rust protected body, and extensive crash testing was done, kind of showing very good results on frontal collisions, while rear collisions produced less pleasant results. A very extensive crash testing means that Dargo platform was used and Great Wall Motor wasted about 30 cars on this test, at the very least, as our kind of host here reports to us. In China, H7 came with different drivetrains, starting with 1.5-liter turbo petrol engine, but to Australia, I understand, we are getting a hybrid version that, at least is stated here, to pump out over 370 horsepower and has a 9-speed DCT. But these versions are always tuned very differently for different markets, slightly differently. They are tuned down, powered down to 192 horsepower and 320 newton meters of torque. All-wheel drive is available, of course, with a blocking rear differential, which kind of suggests off-road capability. But let's keep listening and watching, and we will see how real is this. Boot and tailgate opens automatically by doing that little air kick under the rear bumper that the car detects. Obviously convenient if you're carrying something and both your hands are kind of busy. So what is the difference from Dargo? Not much at all. Very similar shape and very similar interior kind of volume here. No electric socket, not fully sized electric socket in the boot, only space saver tire here, not even a full tire. Rear seats offer more space, unsurprisingly, than in Dargo, because we already were told that even the wheelbase is 7 centimeters longer. Quite comfortable cushions of the seats, adjustable angle of the rear seat, so the back is going to be more comfortable in the longer trips. The usual elbow rest that is to be expected, USB ports, kinda no surprises really. In front, everything is also rather standard for modern Haval vehicles. Slight mishmash of technology with a few borrowed solutions from different vehicles in their lineup, such as not fixed in a specific position blinker stalk that are clearly a solution borrowed from Tank 300. I have been using a similarly engineered blinker in my Subaru now for a few years, and I still often indicate when I don't intend to, or turn off the indicator when I didn't want to leave it on. Our host prefers Tank 300 style gear shifter joystick more so than the rotary gear shifter knob from Haval H6, Jolion and Dargo are well. Overall design tries to produce a rough and ready look. There are a lot of elements imitating bolts and some other tougher kind of elements there, but we see no handles to get in, helping to get into the vehicle on A-pillars. For example, air vent deflectors and oversized, extremely accessible physical buttons are quite pleasant, very easy to use, especially in different weather conditions. And if you are somewhere in the cold where you, let's say, have gloves on, there is no creaking of plastic or any other materials, which is great to see. Our host highlights it to us here. Very good, apparently, driver visibility, even though Alex here says that A-pillars could be a bit thinner to improve kind of this frontal cone of visibility, especially during turns, but well, it's not a showstopper. Seats and driver position are pleasant. Overall, not particularly tight driver placement, like it doesn't hold your back tightly. It's not a sports seat. There is no seat massage either, if you're one of those gourmets who need it in your cars. I never did, but otherwise all typical seat adjustments are available. Main advantage of H7 compared to Dargo is the multimedia or infotainment system. We kind of expect the new generations of cars having better ones, and this vehicle doesn't disappoint. Here is a larger display with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Again, unsurprising for 2025, but our host doesn't specify if both of these support wireless or the usual wired for Android Auto and only wireless for Apple CarPlay for iPhones. It's unclear, which is where you would go for inexpensive wireless Android Auto adapter, many of which I have reviewed on recently and over time on Auto Gear Reviews channel, if you're interested to check those out or if you have missed out otherwise. On road, DCT, unsurprisingly, is a bit jerky. 9.4 seconds to accelerate to 100 kilometers an hour, which obviously highlights that this is not a race car, but for its shape and size, acceleration is acceptable. It's nothing to write home about, really. Alex says that responsiveness is okay, the car accelerates fast enough, and delay with DCT response to you when you're putting your foot down on the gas pedal is sort of negligible, acceptable. 13 to 16 liters per 100 kilometers is very high fuel consumption for this kind of vehicle, I would argue, but this is petrol and hybrids are probably going to have much better results. We don't have these numbers here. Brakes perform okay, not particularly amazing. Steering itself and maneuverability is average apparently, but the car doesn't feel sluggish. Steady, not unpleasant. It holds the straight line very nicely as well, not requiring too much constant manual adjustment of the steering wheel by the driver. Suspension seems to be tuned okay as well. Bumps are absorbed as you would hope them to be, which might be another nod towards revised and improved tuning by Haval, or simply an advantage of 19-inch tires that H7 comes with compared to 18s on the old Dargo. It's hard to tell. On a gravel road, you can hear the road noise and some random kicks here and there and knocks. He kind of mentions them as such, and I cannot translate it better than exactly as that, which might draw your attention. Speaking of sound insulation, side windows are double glass pane, actually, window pane. But overall, it's not the loudest, but not the quietest drive either. So kinda he rates it average. Very light off-road here across the grassy landscape is being demonstrated to us. And Alex comments that he had to manually turn off diff lock as in auto mode, the car turns it on automatically straight away. He tries to drive across these small dirty pits, let's call them, and he hears that knocking in suspension that he refers to and jerkiness from DCT that he doesn't like at all. He makes several comments on that, makes several attempts there to kind of keep moving in that mode. He tries to put the accelerator pedal down, which increases that sense of knocking inside of DCT as it struggles to kind of switch between the gears internally, presumably. And overall, he is clearly being careful with this vehicle. He is not pushing it too much, but results overall are obviously not very good. The diff lock engaged, the driving gets a little more confident. All the bleeps and bongs and dings and dongs are happening, which I could hear very loudly in the originally recorded audio before recording this translation. Alex changes the driving modes between different ones, with and without the rear differential lock being engaged a couple of times. Overall, confirming that it performs better than without this diff lock engaged. But in my humble opinion, no particular off-road capability was demonstrated to us here. And to wrap this particular bit up, I thought that DCT would overheat very, very quickly, which did happen, actually. Even after this hardly significant amount of straining that was put on the engine and transmission, DCT pretty much gave up after this very short recorded fragment. Improvised light off-roading tests have been demonstrated also by our other channel that we follow. Sergey from ProDrive did that on his Jetour T2 a few months ago. I translated that video. A lot of you commented on this. Go find and watch that video on my channel if you're really, really interested and you want to compare these two vehicles side by side, especially because here they are thinking that these are direct competitors. Alex here clearly tries to stay more positive than not, and he says, well, if you don't dig mud for too long in this vehicle, this all-wheel drive works quite well. But I still think that he's being too nice, and the honest conclusion here is that DCT vehicles basically are not seriously off-road capable. That is my humble conclusion. You let me know if you agree or disagree, and what facts do you have to back up either of these positions. I would love to hear from you. So summarizing, overall, H7 is a comfortable everyday car for the city. It's best of Haval mid-size SUV lineup, at least according to Alex. He comments on better features here compared to Dargo, with better multimedia and some other demonstrated elements, even though it lost some of its off-roady and camping-ready elements, such as the electric sockets in the boot area.
And this is it, my friends. My personal verdict is that if I was right now buying a Haval, I probably would consider buying H7, this H7, over the my good old Haval H6, the one that I had, H6. And it's not just about 7 being higher than 6. I simply prefer the look of this one. It does look more rugged. I understand we just were shown that it's not a real off-road capable vehicle and it's a DCT transmission and all that kind of stuff. I'm not a fan of a lot of these things, including the blinkers that don't stay in the same position and just kind of have to retract backwards. I don't like any of that kind of stuff. But overall, I think the looks and hopefully the price category, kind of, we're yet to see those prices revealed in Australia, but the combination of it, if they get the combination right, if they get the right intersection of quality, price and the looks and everything else, then it's an absolute winner, in my humble opinion. But you let me know what you think about this Haval H7. Do you look forward to it becoming available on our roads? I look forward to reviewing it and maybe taking it for a test drive when it's available at a local dealer, but not yet, unfortunately. I'll talk to you next week about something else value cars related in Australia and beyond. Thank you for being with me today, and goodbye for now.